Hello and welcome back. My name is Callum and today we'll be covering red-black trees. Red-black trees are a type of self-balancing binary search tree. All this means is that it has all the properties of a binary search tree, but with a few added in order for itself to rebalance and reshape to keep the height of the tree to a minimum. This is very useful when certain algorithms are involved, because certain algorithms work more efficiently and more effectively with a balanced tree rather than an unbalanced tree. So let's get started. Before we get started on the two questions we have today, I think we should cover some of the basic principles of the red-black tree. So the red-black tree, of course, is a type of binary search tree. So the standard rules apply to the binary search tree. So, for example, every node will be, if it's larger than the previous node, it will be set to the right of it. And if it's smaller, it will be set to the left. For example, 5 is to the left of 11, and 16 is to the right of 11. So, very simple. Where it differs from a binary search tree, as you can probably notice, is that we have black and red nodes. This will be important later when these are the mechanisms that allow it to notify when it is unbalanced. For example, one of the properties of the red-black tree is that every single root from the root node, which is this node at the top, to the leaf nodes, which are these ones at the bottom, every single path from the top to the bottom, no matter where the bottom is, will have the same amount of black nodes traversed. For example, 11 goes down to 5, we don't count that because it's red. To 3, we count that to null. That makes 3 black nodes traversed. And sure enough, if you go through every single path, you will count 3 nodes. If you don't count 3 nodes in the path, that means that it is not a balanced tree and is not a valid red-black tree. The second property of a red-black tree is that any nodes added to the red-black tree initially get added as a red node. Once again, these are just notifiers to allow the data structure to rebalance itself, but we will cover later. But that is another property. And the third property, and the most important property, is if a red node is added and its parent, so the node directly above it, is also red, it triggers the rearranging. It triggers one of the 4 rules, which we will cover in detail. It triggers these rules in order for itself to rebalance and reshape, which will then make it balanced. In fact, let's cover these rules. The first rule is that if the node you're covering is the root, it will turn black. Just one of the properties of the red-black tree, that the root is always a black node. Case 2 is if X's uncle is red. This simply means that if a red node is added and its grandparent sibling, which is not its parent, is red, that means that you need to recolor the uncle, the parent, and the grandparent to whatever color it is not. So, this B turns to black, this C turns black, and this A that was black turns red. And now, this is the important part for all of these rules. For this case 2, when you do this rebalance, the next node that you hit, or that you move to and redo the rules, is A. Because you're now making A red, A's parent could be red. So that's where you have to continue and check the rules. Case 3, if X's uncle is black, triangle. And case 4 is if X's uncle is black, line. What this simply means is where the red node, or X, is located in comparison to its parent. So you can see here in the triangle one, it is closer to C. It is closer to its uncle because it's the left child of B. Whereas in case 4, it's a line because X is on the right side, opposite, going away from its uncle. So that is a line. So for case 3 and 4, what is required is a rotate on a node. So you can see here that it rotates B, so B gets dropped down to the right, and the left child of B, this case X, gets shifted up to replace where B has been. And you can see that the shift happens, it rotates away from the grandparent. So, of course, if it was a triangle the other way, it would rotate the other way. And now that you've done this rotate, the node that you continue from will always be B. It will be the one that you've rotated back down. Because you can even see, with this rotate, we have made this red node be the child of another red node, which is invalid. And in fact, this is a violation of case 4, where the uncle is still black, but we have a line here. We have a line case 4, which then, going down to case 4, the way to fix this is to do a left rotate of the grandparent. So the grandparent gets knocked down, B gets dragged up, and so does X. But keyly, the child of B that is left over after the rotate gets made the right child of A. So the rotate happens and the child swaps from B to A. And then now, because B is black, this is over. You continue from B, but because B is black, there is no violation that can happen, because there's no extra red nodes to play with. So then after you've hit case 4, you know that you're finished. Something to note, and this is confusing sometimes, and I found this with some people that I've talked to this to. When you're going through these and you're adding nodes, you only need to look at these cases and these rules only if, when you add the red node, you're adding the red node to another red node. So, for example, if you added a node to the right-hand side of this 12, that would trigger these cases because the parent of the node is red. But for example, if you add something to this 3, nothing changes because the red node gets added below, but no rules are violated because there are no red parents in the tree. So with this, we can now answer these questions. One of the conditions for a red-black tree is that any path from the root to a null leaf passes through exactly the same amount of black nodes. We were talking about this at the beginning, where the count is 3. In the case of this tree, is the condition satisfied? Well, we can just count. Let's count. Ooh. If it will let me draw. 1, 2, 3. So that's got a height of 3. 1, 2, 3. That's also got a 3. 1, 2, 3. So even though this null is much lower down than, these nulls, the black height is still the same. And when I refer to the black height, I mean the amount of black nodes traversed. And once again, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And you can count, and every single traversal will have 3 black nodes in it, which means that the condition is satisfied and that this is a valid red-black tree. And that is your answer. Your answer is that because every traversal has a height of 3, you know that this condition is satisfied. That's your answer. Question 2 is, why are additional steps needed after adding the 13 node compared to the 4 node? Recall that when a new node is added to the tree, it is added as a red node. Red nodes can only belong under black nodes. See, this question has given you 2 of the rules that are required to answer this question. So we can see that adding 4, let's add it as if it was a standard binary search tree. So we can start from the top. We go down. 4 is less than 11. 4 is less than 5. But it's more than 3. So it would get added down here. This means that this black node is replaced with a red node. And in fact, I can change that now. And it is changed with a red 4. And of course, as stated previously, these rules and these rotations only apply if the parent is red. And because the parent is black, we know that the properties of the red-black tree haven't been violated. In fact, because we know that we have a red node, because we know that the the leaf nodes are black and are nulls, we know that just because this red 4 has replaced it, it's just left 2 more black nodes, which means that the black height hasn't changed at all. You can see 1, 2, skipping the 4, 3. The black height is still the same. All the properties of the red-black tree remain. However, if we try and add 13, which will once again replace this null node, and once again using the same rules, 13 is bigger than 11, smaller than 16, smaller than 13, bigger than 12. It gets added here, but now we see that 13 is a red node and so is 12. This means that a violation has occurred and that a change must happen. For this example, we can see that the uncle of 13 is black. So we know that we're looking at either case 3 or 4. And we can see that because the 13 is getting closer to the uncle, it's making a triangle, which means we're looking at case 3. So if we were going to rebalance this tree, we know that we would be making a left rotate away from the uncle to this 12. So this 12 gets pushed down here. Oh, we're going to have to move around some of these, but the 12 gets knocked down here and the 13 gets raised up. Simple. But now, as we discussed, when you do case 3, the X node is now placed on 12 because we have made a new condition. Because 12 is a child of a red node and there's 2 red nodes, so that is invalid. So we look down at the cases. These cases you will have to remember, by the way. These are not given to us in our exams. They may be given to you in your exams, but you'd have to check. But we know that because this is a line now, because we're away from the black uncle, which is causing the error, we have to do a rotate towards the uncle of the grandparent. So this grandparent will be right rotated down here. Of course, we'll have to get rid of this null. The B gets added up, and this gets added up. And remember, the most important part of this process is that you need to remember to recolor. You need to recolor the parent and the grandparent to the opposite color to what they were. So this 13, it will become a black 13. And this 14 will become a red 14. And this now is a balanced binary tree. It's a balanced binary tree and it's a balanced red-black tree. And once again, you can check all the properties. You can check and recount the new, of course, the newly added null nodes because of the rearranging. And you will find that the black height remains the same. It is still 3. But you can see that 13 required a lot more steps to become rebalanced compared to 4. But the reason why is because the parent was red. And because the parent was red, we knew that we had to do some changes and we had to do some rotations. But that would be your answer. Because of the cases and because of the properties of the red-black tree, 13 required rotations in order to make the tree balanced. And there are your 2 answers. That's a brief explanation of red-black trees. If you found this useful, please drop a like and subscribe if you want to see some more. And please, if you have any ideas for any topics you want me to cover, please leave them in the comments below. Have a good day and see you later.